Laziness is not what you think. Most people think laziness means being weak, unmotivated, or simply not serious about life. But that's not the truth. Laziness is not a personality trait, it's a behavior pattern. And like any pattern, it can be understood, controlled, and completely changed. The real problem is not laziness itself, but the misunderstanding around it. When you say, "I'm lazy," what you're actually describing is a repeated habit of avoiding effort. Your brain chooses comfort over action, short-term pleasure over long-term benefit. It's not because you don't want success, it's because your brain is wired to save energy and avoid discomfort. This is basic biology, not a character flaw. Here's the harsh reality: laziness slowly destroys your potential. It delays your progress, weakens your discipline, and keeps you stuck in the same place while others move ahead. And the worst part? It feels comfortable. That's why it's dangerous. You don't feel the damage immediately, but over time, it builds into regret. In this video, you're not going to hear generic advice like, just be motivated. Instead, you'll understand the real science and psychology behind laziness and how to break it step by step. By the end, you won't just feel inspired, you'll have a system to take action, even when you don't feel like it. The real cause: your brain is designed to be lazy. Let's break this logically. Your brain is not built for productivity, it's built for survival. And from a survival perspective, saving energy is smart. Thousands of years ago, humans didn't have unlimited food or resources, so conserving energy was essential. That's why your brain naturally prefers rest, comfort, and minimum effort. This is why you feel resistance when you try to do something hard. Whether it's studying, working out, or learning a new skill, your brain sees it as unnecessary energy consumption. So it pushes you toward easier activities like scrolling, watching videos, or just doing nothing. It's not because you're weak, it's because your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. But here's the problem: modern life has changed, but your brain hasn't fully adapted. Today, success requires consistent effort, learning, and discipline. But your brain still prefers shortcuts and instant gratification. That's why you end up procrastinating, even when you know what you should be doing. The key shift is this: stop blaming yourself and start understanding your brain. Once you realize that laziness is just your brain trying to save energy, you stop feeling guilty and start working with your brain instead of against it. And that's where real control begins. The hidden enemy: dopamine and instant gratification. Your laziness is not random, it's being trained daily. Every time you choose easy pleasure over effort, your brain gets a dopamine reward. Scrolling social media, watching reels, gaming, binge watching, these give quick bursts of pleasure with almost zero effort. And your brain loves that. Here's the science: dopamine is a chemical that drives motivation and reward. But when you consume too much instant dopamine, your brain starts rejecting tasks that require effort. Why would it choose studying or working, when it can get faster and easier pleasure from your phone? This is why even simple tasks start feeling too hard. Over time, your brain gets addicted to low-effort, high-reward activities. This reduces your attention span, kills your focus, and makes productive work feel boring. It's not that the task is difficult, it's that your brain has been conditioned to avoid anything that doesn't give instant satisfaction. So the solution is not just work harder, it's to reset your dopamine system. Reduce unnecessary distractions, limit mindless scrolling, and create an environment where effort becomes normal again. Once you fix this, your brain slowly starts finding satisfaction in productive work instead of cheap entertainment. Start small, beat laziness with micro actions. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to go from zero to extreme productivity overnight. They create huge plans, set unrealistic goals, and expect instant transformation. But your brain rejects sudden, massive changes. That's why you start strong for a day or two, and then fall back into laziness. The smarter approach is micro actions. Instead of forcing yourself to do a big task, start with something so small that your brain cannot resist it. For example, instead of saying, "I will study for 3 hours," start with, "I will study for 5 minutes." It sounds too easy, but that's the point: you're removing resistance. Here's what happens: once you start, your brain shifts from resistance to momentum. The hardest part is not the work, it's the starting. After 5 minutes, you'll often continue for longer because you're already in motion. This is called the activation energy effect. Once you cross that initial barrier, everything becomes easier. So stop waiting for motivation. Make starting so easy that you can't avoid it. Small actions repeated daily build discipline faster than big actions done occasionally. Laziness loses power when action becomes automatic, even in small doses. Remove friction. Make action easier than laziness. Right now, laziness feels easy because your environment is designed for it. Your phone is always within reach, distractions are everywhere, and productive tasks feel like a hassle to even begin. If action requires more effort than distraction, your brain will always choose the easier option. That's not weakness, that's basic human behavior. So instead of forcing discipline all the time, change your environment. Reduce friction for good habits and increase friction for bad ones. For example, keep your study materials ready on your desk, not hidden somewhere. Keep your phone away or on silent when working. If scrolling is one tap away but work takes effort to start, your brain will naturally choose scrolling. Make productive actions visually and physically easy. If you want to work out, keep your shoes ready. If you want to study, open your book or laptop in advance. The goal is to remove the starting resistance. When action becomes convenient, your brain stops resisting it. At the same time, make laziness harder. Add small barriers, log out of apps, keep distractions out of your immediate reach, or set time limits. When laziness requires effort and action feels easy, your behavior automatically flips. You don't need superhuman willpower, you just need a smart setup. Build discipline, do it even when you don't feel like it. Motivation is unreliable. Some days you feel energized, but most days you don't. If you depend on motivation, you'll stay inconsistent. That's why discipline is the real solution. Discipline means doing what needs to be done, even when your mood doesn't support it. Here's the mindset shift. You don't wait to feel ready, you act first. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. When you start doing the task, your brain slowly aligns with it. But if you wait for the perfect feeling, you'll keep delaying forever. Start training yourself with small commitments. For example, decide, no matter what, I will do this task for 10 minutes. Even if you don't feel like it, you still show up. This builds self-respect and strengthens your control over your actions. Over time, your brain learns that excuses don't work anymore. Discipline is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. At first, it feels uncomfortable, but gradually it becomes your default behavior. And once discipline becomes a habit, laziness loses its control over you. Fix your energy. Laziness is often low energy, not low willpower. Let's be real, sometimes you're not lazy, you're just low on energy. If your body is tired, your brain won't cooperate, no matter how strong your mindset is. Poor sleep, bad diet, no physical movement, these things directly reduce your ability to take action. And then you label it as laziness. Your brain runs on physical energy. If you're constantly sleep deprived, your focus drops, your decision-making weakens, and even simple tasks feel heavy. The same goes for nutrition. Junk food spikes your energy temporarily but crashes it quickly, making you feel sluggish and unproductive. Movement also matters. When you stay inactive for long periods, your body becomes dull, and your mind follows. Even a short walk or light exercise can boost your energy, improve mood, and increase your willingness to act. This is not motivation, it's biology. So before calling yourself lazy, check your basics. Are you sleeping properly? Are you eating decent food? Are you moving your body? Fixing these can instantly improve your productivity. Because a high-energy brain naturally takes action, while a low-energy brain avoids it. Eliminate overthinking. Action beats analysis. A lot of laziness is actually disguised as overthinking. You sit there planning, analyzing, and thinking about the perfect way to start, but you never actually start. Your brain tricks you into feeling productive just by thinking about the task, but in reality, nothing gets done. Overthinking creates mental fatigue before you even begin. You imagine all the steps, all the difficulties, all the possible outcomes, and your brain gets overwhelmed. As a result, it chooses the easiest option: do nothing. This is not laziness in the traditional sense, it's mental overload. The solution is simple: reduce thinking, increase action. Instead of planning everything in detail, just focus on the next small step. Don't think about finishing the entire task, just start with the first action. Once you begin, clarity comes automatically. Train yourself with a rule: act within 5 seconds of deciding. The longer you wait, the more your brain creates excuses. Action kills overthinking. And once you make this a habit, you stop getting stuck in your head and start moving forward consistently. Build identity. Become a person who takes action. At this stage, you need to go deeper. If you still see yourself as a lazy person, your actions will keep matching that identity. Your brain always tries to stay consistent with how you see yourself. So if your identity is weak, your behavior will also stay weak. The shift is simple but powerful. Stop saying, "I am lazy," and start saying, "I am someone who takes action." This is not fake positivity, it's identity training. Every time you take even a small action, you reinforce this new identity. And over time, your brain starts believing it. Focus on evidence. Every time you do something productive, no matter how small, acknowledge it. This builds proof in your mind that you are capable of action. And the more proof you collect, the stronger your identity becomes. Once your identity changes, everything becomes easier. You don't rely on motivation or force. You act because that's who you are. Laziness is no longer your default state. Action is. Take control or stay stuck. At the end of the day, quitting laziness is not about finding the perfect trick. It's about taking responsibility for your actions. Your brain will always try to choose comfort, distractions will always exist, and excuses will always be available. But now you understand the system behind it. You're no longer confused, you're aware. You've learned that laziness is not your identity, it's just a pattern. And patterns can be changed. By starting small, controlling your environment, fixing your energy, and taking action despite resistance, you slowly break that pattern. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen if you stay consistent. The difference between people who succeed and those who stay stuck is simple: one group acts, the other delays. Not because they're smarter, but because they don't let laziness control their decisions. They move even when it's uncomfortable, and that's what creates progress. So now the choice is yours. You can go back to comfort, or you can start taking action today, even if it's small. Because the moment you choose action over laziness, everything starts changing.